More rewards, more savings. With American Express Business Gold, earn up to $395 back in annual statement credits on eligible purchases at select shipping, food delivery, and retail subscription merchants. Enjoy the benefits of membership with the Amex Business Gold Card. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-gold. Amex Business Gold Card. Built for business by American Express.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. From your morning podcast to your afternoon playlist, State Farm knows you personalize your entire day. And that's why State Farm helps you personalize your insurance with the State Farm Personal Price Plan. It offers coverage options that help protect what you care about most at an affordable price just for you. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
With the other two characters, we see other ways in which women and people of color have had to be really scrappy in getting what they want, no matter how brilliant they are. So you get two genius women. And by the way, one of the things I loved most about this film is that it convinced me that mathematics is absolute wizardry. If you are good at math at that level, you are magic. But these guys are just like, wow, you can actually just figure out the cosmos using your brain. That's incredible.
Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of Flixwatcher podcast. Today I'm joined by Kim.
Hello.
Alice.
Hi.
And Helen.
Hello.
And we're going to be talking about hidden figures. Thank you as always to the mighty people for their mighty, mighty tunes. Thank you to Ben from Rockwood Audio for editing this podcast and all our episodes that you've heard before and going forward. Please remember to head over to Spotify and Apple Podcast and Pocket Cast and give us a 5-star rating and a glowing review. And join in the conversation with us on social media. We're on Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Blue Sky, Threads, yeah, maybe some more. Search for Flixwatcher Podcast and you'll find us.
Hello film fans, welcome to Flixwatcher Podcast. Our guests today are Kim and Alice. Over to you please, Alice, to say hello to our listeners and tell them a little bit more about who you are and what you do, please.
Hi, I'm Alice, and Kim and I are the co-hosts of Fetch the Smelling Salts, which is a period drama podcast. So we like to watch period dramas, movies, TV shows, miniseries, and we like things from all over the world, every genre, every era. And we try to, in every episode, we're not historians, we are recovering academics. I'm an anthropologist. Kim is a literary scholar. We both kind of left academia and went into podcasting, which is the natural progression, I think.
Big money.
Yeah, all the money we're getting.
Like, nobody wants that academia money, job security. So although we're not historians, we do try to do a bit of research into whatever period drama we are watching for that episode. And so one of us will summarize whatever we're watching. The other one will have done some extensive, very well-researched research.
Well-researched research and quotes.
Well-researched research, and that is the
best kind of research.
That is exactly the kind of good talky talk that you get from Fetch the Smelling Salt. So we are a period drama history comedy podcast.
Nice. What do you class as period? How far back is period?
We try to be pretty broad with it because that makes it a bit more fun and easier to find things, especially when it comes to non-English language things and anything international. So you have your classics, your British Austen, 18th, 19th century, anything Austen. We love all of that. White people going to each other's houses and having tea. Sure, it's wonderful.
Tea and dancing.
Yeah, but we'll take anything from ancient history. I think the earliest thing we did was Gladiator. And we do go right up to... Have we done anything in the 80s or 90s?
Not yet, but I think that I think we talked about it, and that was going to kind of be like a cutoff point. I think we talked about that in our kind of like our mini-sode.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
we do have an episode about what a period drama is.
Yeah.
So we have a few, we call them fainting couch episodes, where we like to talk about kind of like genre topics or anything related to period dramas. And there we do discuss like what is a period drama. But so it has to be something set in a real time, a real place. So fantasy can come into it as long as you're not in somewhere that requires its own map.
Okay, so not Game of Thrones.
Yeah, so Game of Thrones wouldn't count.
But the War of the Roses, which Game of Thrones is based on, would count.
Sure.
Yeah.
Even something like, I'm thinking like My Lady Jane, which takes a lot of historical liberties and there is a magic element to it. That we would still count because you're talking about a real time, place, and even real people, even though the characters are drastically changed.
yeah, I mean, and it can be like a fictional made up town and stuff, but it kind of has to be set in a generally real time and place. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Kim, you're talking. Introduce yourself a bit if you want.
Oh, yeah, hi. Oh, sorry. Just interrupted you there, Alice. I'm Kim. As Alice said, a recovering academic. So I chose Hidden Figures.
Why did you choose Hidden Figures?
Well, actually, I mean, so, I don't know, when I first watched it, loved it, loved the cast. It's such a great movie, and I rewatched it again, obviously, in preparation for this episode. And specifically as a woman and a woman of color, that, really resonated with me.
Also academic?
Oh, so academic, yeah. But I mean, yeah, of course, okay, we'll get into that later, but, I'm not in any way comparing myself to being a black woman in like 1960s America, right? That was hell. That's very specific. Yeah, issues of kind of trying to wrangle a nice lovely mixture of misogyny and racism. It's always fun. I mean, I know, and it's a great movie. And Taraji P. Henson, my God, she is a queen.
Okay, so I'm going to give you 60 seconds in which you have to give us the synopsis. And your timer starts now.
So the film, as I already said, the film is set in 1960s America in the South. And three main characters, they are black women who are brilliant, and they're mathematicians, and they work for NASA. And so essentially the film centers around them battling issues, to do with misogyny and racism as they try to ascend in their careers. And yeah, so you have one of them. So that's Dorothy. She is basically trying to be the first women supervisor of a certain area in NASA. We have Mary, who's essentially, trying to be the first black women engineer in NASA. And you have Katherine, who's just brilliant as hell, and she's kind of like rising up and trying to kind of be involved in very major projects, and you see that happening, and it's all based on actual women.
Whoa.
Time's up. Alice, had you seen this before? Kim
No,
said she's seen
I've
it
never seen. I've never seen this before.
Had you heard of this before?
Yes. So I remember when this came out in the theaters, and I was so intrigued by it, and I really wanted to see it. But children happened. I just stopped seeing anything in the theater. But I think this is one that I would have liked to have gone to see in the theater back when I saw movies.
Before you had the podcast, which meant you had to watch movies again. Your accent, where's that from?
I'm from Chicago.
Okay, so you're a step from the US.
Yes.
Yeah. Not from the 60s, I guess, though. But
I mean, she might be a time traveler. You don't know.
Well, are you a time traveler? You don't have to, tell us the truth, but can you...
I feel like if I were a time traveler, I would probably be better at things.
Well, no, I don't know. If you're traveling, if you're traveling from the past, if you're traveling from the future, then you might be better.
If I were traveling from the past, I would be better at things like sewing and cooking. And if I were traveling from the future, one would think I would be better at a multitude of other things like technology.
Okay, so you're not a time traveler, but
let's resolve that one.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Too shit to be a time traveler. But I am an anthropologist, and I did my research on Christianity in the American South.
Wow. So you've got more context than the rest of us here.
Marginally. But yeah, the American South is a weird and wonderful place, I think, in any time period. But from this community, in this time period, is definitely wild.
So you have the first time you've seen it. Kim, did you see it at the cinema when you first saw it?
Yeah, so I was trying to remember. I think I saw it in the cinema. We have vague memories of that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did watch it in the cinema. And obviously, this last time around was just nicely at home, trying to watch it while keeping my 9-month-old puppy occupied. It was a much longer watch than watching it at cinema because it was, I had to pause it multiple times as my dog tried to hump me.
Yeah, you don't get that in the cinema.
No, you don't. You do not, Yeah, so extra flavour going on there.
What about yourself, Helen?
Yeah, so I've seen this before. I'm pretty sure I've seen it before because you've talked about it loads.
Me?
Yeah. So it was probably because you've told me to see it. I'm kind of torn on this because you probably know Kobe's probably aware what's going to come up on this bit. So I think it's an amazing story and it's a story that needs to be heard. But there's some moments that are fictionalized and I have big issues with that. And some of the fictionalization...
Not for this film specifically, but you don't like fictionalization so much in true stories?
Not so much, no. But particularly in this film, in that some of the fictionalization kind of plays into the white saviour trope, which this film, I feel, is really heavily catered towards white people with a white director. And also, I take issue with characters that aren't real or are perhaps like composites, which there are a lot of those in here as well. So it is amazing. I kind of feel as though the women that it's about are maybe sold a little bit short as it kind of pushes the white people solving racism message through the white characters in here. So yeah, but there's quite a bit, like the whole toilet thing was just kind of made up. Like there was no sign smashing, there was no like running to the toilets. And I feel that then the kind of speech that she gives following that, or like, well, that probably didn't happen. So there's bits like that which I feel take away from their real stories. And I appreciate, like the director kind of said, oh, well, it didn't happen, but, we needed to make these moments exist. And I kind of get that not every true story makes an amazing film, but I feel that when you insert moments into a film like this, it doesn't really tell the true story. And I kind of feel for me that there's maybe a different film that could exist that if it was maybe directed by a woman or a woman of colour as opposed to a white man. So yeah, I love all the three leads and I think their story is incredible, but I think how the end product I have issues with. Yeah,
I definitely felt that as well. I actually, with the second watch, right? The first time I watched it, I was just like, oh yeah, just enjoyed it, going to the cinema. And especially, I think when I read a little bit into it, the toilet sign smashing scene, and that's the thing, right? That's the scene that you remember. Like before I rewatched it, right? I was just thinking back to all the bits that I remember, and then I was like, yeah, obviously, I remember that scene. And I was telling Alice, I was like, oh yeah, that speech that she gives, and then knowing, so feeling that. Someone who's watched a movie, at least even like just once, and you're remembering that scene and how iconic it is and what a big part it played, and then realizing that was all made up. Yeah, it kind of, it didn't sit well, to say the least. I mean, I understand, right? When you have these three women and the idea was that they were predominantly going to focus on one, So even though I said at the start, it's a story of three women, the amount of time dedicated to each of them is not equal, right? The focus tends to be on
Taraji P. Henson's character.
Yes, correct. Yeah. So she, I guess she's the biggest star or whatever, and Kevin Costner, her boss. So so they kind of took away from the struggles of the other two. And I had forgotten until the rewatch, right, where there were scenes where I think there was Mary's husband, right? He's very politically, inclined, and there were all these bits where he was, talking about the civil rights movement and stuff. So I think I would have preferred. I mean, if they were to remake it, I think setting the story alongside what other the political scene of the area of the era would have been better. Yeah.
What about yourself, Alice? So first watch, what were your thoughts?
Since this is my first watch, I was a bit dazzled by it. And sometimes I think in retrospect that that's because, well, first of all, as we've all said, the actresses are incredible. And so, of course, I was going to be dazzled by them. But also, with these types of movies, I think we have, as feminists or politically engaged people, we have the bar set really low. And so I was going in thinking, like, God, is this going to be another one of those... I'm sorry, what's the film called with Emma Stone where she solves slavery in Mississippi?
Oh, The Help.
The Help.
One of the worst films ever.
Solve slavery.
So I trusted Kim. I trusted Kim's taste that it wasn't going to be that bad, but I was kind of bracing myself for that level. That's where I set the bar at this point. And so to have it clear that bar in a lot of ways, legitimately, I really enjoyed that the focus was so much on these three women, even if it did focus mostly on Katherine. And I liked that the men in their lives, in their personal lives, were more peripheral. I mean, Katherine gets a whole ass new husband and he is like completely an afterthought, really. They're like, and then she got married. Oh, and it's great. It's wonderful. And she's happier. And that's what's great about that. But it doesn't actually change anything about her career or her trajectory. And I also liked the way, apart from Katherine, who does go through more of a white savior story, who does get where she's going because she has a white male mentor, and who does get to have this beautiful outburst, which was wonderful to see, but also in reality, they would have been like, great, okay, so you're fired. You're definitely fired now. With the other two characters, we see other ways in which women and people of color have had to be really scrappy in getting what they want, no matter how brilliant they are. So you get two genius women. And by the way, one of the things I loved most about this film is that it convinced me that mathematics is absolute wizardry. If you are good at math at that level, you are...
Is this
magic.
the first film that's done that for you? Like, have you seen Good Will Hunting?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, no. But even that one, I think because I was younger seeing that, I was like, sure, I'll probably do math like that one day. But these guys were just like, wow, you can actually just figure out the cosmos using your brain. That's incredible.
To like a bazillion decimal point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's like, when they were saying like, by the way, this math doesn't exist, so yeah, good luck. And Catherine's like, yeah, I'll do it.
Just give me that chalk. I'm going to give you my really girly handwriting and we're going to sort it out. And so when you're at that level, you've got real people who are at that level of magic intelligence and the things that they had to do to succeed, including being really scrappy and just not asking for permission for anything and sneaking around like a beautiful fox, or taking the legal route and actually trying to smash down doors. I liked that they showed those two paths as well with these two characters. So those are the things that I really, really liked from the film and spoke to my heart in a non-cynical way. So I still came away from it very, very positive, and I still feel really positive about the film. I
think that's fair. I mean, look, I think this is the third or fourth time I've seen it, and I've enjoyed it each time. This time, I was thinking, when it first came out, there was quite a few critical points around it. And I could get the kind of white saviour narrative, and I was like, yeah, I understand that that's not true to what would have happened there. And in all true stories, there are fictionalizations for telling the story and to make sure it comes to screen and hopefully it becomes a cohesive narrative. I think this time I was more kind of like, this is it's almost like a Disney version of the story that maybe took away from it. This is a PG version. Should have been one rating higher, maybe, just to get to a bit more the edge of the story, the edge of the drama. So, I mean, I still love this. I'd recommend this to everyone as a way in, maybe with a few caveats in there. Love Taraji P. Henson, love Octavia Spencer, love Janelle Monáe, and
so good, so good, so good. Great brands, great prices. Everyone's got a reason to rack.
Because they have framed jeans.
Nike? Yes.
Just so many good brands.
Vince, Kurt Geiger London, Rag & Bone, and more are at Nordstrom Rack stores now. You never know what you'll find, but you know it's going to be so good. Great brands, great prices. That's why you rack.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Since you're new to H&R Block, we'll look at your returns from the last 3 years for any money your last guy might have missed for free.
I could get money back from last year?
You could. We'll find any mistakes.
Could have really used that 2 years ago when I dated that mistake for 5 months.
Don't leave money on the table. Switch to H&R Block and get a free Second Look review. Second Look is included at no additional cost with the purchase of tax preparation. Results vary. All tax situations are different. Fees apply if you have us file an amended return.
I think this came out quite around the same time as Moonlight. Similar time to Moonlight. So she was like in two like really important films for me for that year that came out, or that period of time. From not really seeing her acting, I was like, she needs to do more acting because she's great in it.
She's good. I totally forgot she was in there. I mean, she was in it. Yeah.
So I take away a lot from it, and I really enjoy the story. Yeah, I think one of the things that annoys me is like the moustache twirling, racist misogynist like Jim Parsons characters, like you can't drink our coffee. And what's her name? The supervisor for the
the Kirsten Dunst character, right?
Yeah, Kirsten Dunst character.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that we don't like you, it's just, we also really hate you. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And we don't want you to get ahead. Basically.
Yeah. They weren't real people. So like you can slag them off. Like they don't care.
I don't think they're real people, and I don't think you need to have real people to get the story across, because it just often becomes like too much of a how do you put this into 90 minutes to 2 hours. But that's the story that we were told in the film. But yeah, the kind of moustache twirliness of their despising of people of other colours, I was like, come on, mate. But then you are conflicted with Kevin Costner's, he's so in his head, he doesn't realise that his whole department doesn't let her have the same coffee as everyone else. But when he does, he's like, no, you will have the same coffee as Katherine, because she's amazing and she knows better maths than you.
Yeah, I love this storyline, or this premise that scientific dudes wouldn't be complicit in racism if they were just less focused on science. But they were just so into the science that, racism happened around them on their watch.
Oh, no.
Well, Jim Parsons was happy being racist, but the main boss guy, Kevin Costner, was like, I'm just too into it. I don't know. I didn't really know what his job was, because he seemed to be able to make rules for the whole of NASA,
right?
But also, didn't seem to be also very focused on this one thing. So I was like, "What are you actually doing?" Anyway,
his character, he's a fictional character as well, so he is a composite of different ones. And Kevin Costner, that character was initially more racist and probably more realistic in his attitude towards Black people, but apparently Costner was like, I'm not going to play this guy. He needs to be nicer. Like, I don't want to be that racist guy. So he completely changed that. So it would have been interesting to see what that original kind of character was and how it affected the relationship. Because it just kind of feels like he was a bit suspicious. She showed him some numbers and then they were BBFs forever. And it's like, what? You sure? Not sure about that. But also, as it was pointed out to me recently, it also gave us hot astronaut Glen Powell in an early role.
Yeah, I think I said that because we talked about Glen Powell and something else. What did we talk about Glen Powell?
And you were like, you're Top Gun. And you were like, you have seen him in Hidden Figures. And I couldn't remember him. So this time I looked out for him especially. And I was like, there he is.
Does anyone know, because I don't really, the history of the hotness of John Glenn? Because was he that hot?
I don't think so.
Well, I don't want to know then.
In our minds, he'll be.
I really liked, actually, because we focus so much on the history surrounding these period dramas that we talk about on our show, it was really refreshing to go into this just to watch it.
Yes.
And just to absorb, John Glenn was hot. He was hot, and he loved a black woman mathematician.
He loved smart people. And hey,
I'll go into space as soon as that black woman mathematician tells me it's okay, and not a moment sooner. John Glenn.
But yeah,
yes. Glen Powell, not John Glenn. I think having a quick little Google search of John Glenn has not turned up any pictures that look like Glen Powell. So maybe he just kind of like brought himself, his whole self into the film.
Not John Glenn.
Yes.
The character is John Glenn, yes. But
like what we get on screen is a very different interpretation.
So the one thing that annoyed me was in that kind of disunification and telling the story was when apparently all the work they can give Katherine is just dried up. And this guy, Kevin Costner, who seems to be able to manage all of NASA, also can't find her anything, even though she's better than all the people in that pool, in that room, like combined. You know, kind of like,
I'm sorry.
Man. Yeah.
But I just Googled young John Glenn, and he's a little snack.
Okay. I mean, not really my type.
No.
I mean, to be honest, neither is Glen Powell, but you know, it's all right.
Let's just say, I think John Glenn got a glow up. Let's agree on that one.
One thing I wanted to point out, which is of no interest to any of you guys ever, it will never be of interest to you guys. So Octavia Spencer's character, she had to learn this computer language, Fortran, to be able to program that IBM machine. And that was computer language I had to do for my... as part of my degree. It was literally like Fortran was like... So when she's like making these, like coding this computer card... But I didn't have to do it as a computer card thing, 'cause that's nonsense. But when each time she brings out that book from the library in Fortran, I'm like, no!
You're like, trauma.
Did you have that book?
It brings out so many horrible memories.
So Alice's husband, our sound engineer also for our podcast, right? I never know what he does. He does, the running joke is that he does computers, beep, beep, boop, right? That's it's like Keith. What does Keith do? Keith does computers. So, yeah, I'm curious.
We're going to say he's a Fortran...
Coder. Yeah. That's what he does.
Yeah. I'd like to know, I don't know if in your research, Helen, you found if Janelle Monáe's character had to... Because it says at the end of the postscript that she got her role as an engineer. But did she have to go into court and fight for it?
Yeah, so that is true.
Yeah.
That part is completely true.
Nice. Anything else, guys, want to say before we head to the scores?
Oh, I just want to say that. So at the start of it all, before watching the movie, right, I was telling Alice, I was like, that rant that Taraji does, and it's amazing. But then after I watched this, I was like, no, I'm taking that back. The rant that she does to Jim, I prefer that.
At the start, when they first
meet. I was like, yes, girl, that's even better.
Like, a woman?
A woman. Yeah, because it's so interesting because, also you're constantly conflating the two aspects, right, of these women's identities, right? They're women and they're black. And in different communities, certain aspects of their identities are more salient, so I quite like that bit, right? So to him, right, it was more of the fact that she's a woman, understanding that she's a black woman, and therefore even more, it's more difficult for her to do things. But yeah, so I don't know, I just want to say that.
Let's head to scores.
I'm Sam Clements, host of the 90 Minutes or Less Film Festival, another podcast in the Stripped Media family, a podcast that celebrates movies under 90 minutes long. Each episode, I'm joined by a special guest who selects a movie to join our prestigious lineup. Past guests have included fellow Stripped Media family members Martin and Sam from Song by Song, and Kobe from Flixwatcher, and Dave from The Wire Stripped. Search for us now on the app you're currently listening to this podcast, or join us at 90minfilmfest.com.
So welcome to Flixwatcher scores. All of the scores are out of 5. You can have decimal places if you want to add them in. And we'll start with you, please, Kim, with your recommendability.
Recommendability? Yeah, I would say 4. I would recommend it. I would, again, with, as I would recommend any period dramas or historical movies, with caveat that don't take everything you see seriously. Yeah.
Alice.
So for my recommendability score, I gave it a 4.5. because I would recommend it, definitely, but it didn't move me so much that I have to go around telling everyone to watch it.
Helen?
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 4. I feel like I've probably been pretty harsh on it, and that's coming from like a second time watch and my insistence on Googling historical accuracy for all the films that I watch.
Until after the film, at least.
Yeah. But another thing that slightly irritated me was slightly how they're always running around in high heels, which kind of trivializes it a little bit. But, that it shouldn't detract you from the incredible achievements that they had. And they really, really did incredible things, and it's based on a book, so it's something that I should probably check out and have a read, and then I can be all smug that I know what really happened rather than using the internet to find out what didn't happen. So yeah, a good solid 4.
And then you can say things like, "Oh, actually, the book is so much better."
I'm going to go 4.8. I really enjoyed this film, and when you suggested it, it's like, yeah, looking forward to watching it again. Slightly diminishing returns, but I think it's an important story, which I had zero knowledge about. I didn't even know people of any gender or cultural background were called computers when they became, that as a basic thing. I was like, okay, fine, that's really weird and slightly upsetting in a way. I don't know why, but I knew that early space exploration, the calculation power from computers was absolutely minimal. So it does make sense. And seeing the stuff that they're doing, I was like, fucking hell, I have no idea I don't know what you're doing. And even that quadratic equation that she solved when she was 6 is something that I struggled to do when I was 18. So I was like, so she's clearly got something about her.
Again, wild that they call them computers instead of wizards or witches.
Just geniuses.
Yeah, I'm not sure witches would have gone down well.
Yeah, math witch. That's another layer you don't need.
Yeah, we just need some more math witches on this problem because we can't fly. Maybe we can...
And be like, sir, but I will put in an application for it.
Repeat viewing score, Kim.
Oh, repeat viewing score. Oh, yeah. I would say higher, 4.5. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. I think.
How many times have you seen it now? At least twice.
At least twice. And then I was telling my housemate about it, right? So she's never seen it. And then, so she wants to watch it. I was like, yeah, I'll watch it with you again.
Alice.
Well, now I feel like I've lowballed it a little bit, but I gave it a 4 because I would definitely watch it again. If anyone wanted to watch it with me, I would sit down and watch it again. But I think because I have so many period dramas in the bank that I feel like I have to watch on an annual basis, that I guess it fell below those.
Helen.
Yeah, so I can't remember when I watched it, but enough time had kind of elapsed that I felt the need that I should probably watch it again just to refresh my mind. I'm probably not going to watch it again though. So based on that, I'm going to say a 3. I feel like you can get everything you want from it on the first watch.
Yeah, I'll go for a 4.1 here. I think I'll be quite happy to watch it. If anyone says, hey, do you want to watch this? I'm like, yeah, I'll watch it with you. And, if 3 or 4 years goes by and it drops on Netflix again, I'll watch it again. Why not? Small screen score. Kim.
Small screen score. Yeah, I think it works well on a small screen. Totally give it 4.8 or something like that high. I don't think there's any real need to have to watch this on a big screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alice.
I gave it a 4.75 for small screen because any movie that involves space, a rocket taking off, you can think that would have been better on a big screen maybe, but it was very enjoyable on my TV.
Helen.
Yeah, there's no rockets being blasted into space and exploding.
Are, but not
they use historical footage, so it's not like you're in the rocket type thing. So for a space movie, there isn't much things you'd expect like a sci-fi space thing to have. Yeah, I mean, I've only ever seen it on the small screen and I thought that was fine for both, so I'm going to give it a 5.
Yeah, I was rewatching obviously a couple of days ago, and I was reminded of how much I really enjoyed the score for this, and that would have been a bit more bombastic and boomy in the cinema. The
Pharrell music or the score?
Yeah. There's like a ba, 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 ba. It's something I listened to quite a lot over the past few weeks since you guys suggested it. I was like, oh yeah, the score is quite good for this. So I listened to us doing some work. But again, I don't think you need to watch it in the cinema. I did watch it in the cinema when it first came out, but I think it's perfectly fine. So I'm going to go 4.9. Engagement score, Kim.
Engagement score, yeah, high. I mean, I was engaged, but for personal reasons, so 4.8 as well. Yeah.
Alice.
I gave it a 4 because I was folding laundry while I watched it, but I didn't get a whole lot of laundry done.
It's a new rating we're going to have to introduce.
How much attention do you need when you're folding laundry?
Well, children's clothing can be quite small and fiddly, so you have to...
Oh.
It's mostly about the stacking, kind of the Tetris element, making sure it all fits on the couch.
In relation to, you know, what I said about, you know, me being engaged, aside from what I said at the start about me being a woman and a woman of color, I'm linking that back to Helen's comment about them running around in heels. I suffer from plantar fasciitis. Yes, everybody who's around me has to listen to me grumble about this. So I hate wearing heels. So every time they're running around in heels, I was like, how? So that was another level of engagement for me.
What, disengagement or like hooked you in a bit
feeling
more?
The pain that it would have been.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's a jealousy thing, but I feel the opposite way when I see a movie like this. It's sort of a weird feminist triumph to me somehow that women can do all of this stuff and do it while running around in heels. I'm like, get it with every step.
So 4 for engagement, Alice. I was going to say, because there was a period in my life when I had to go to work in a shirt and tie, and the Sunday...
You're going to say heels then. It's just a very different period of your life.
The Sunday afternoon was typically the time when I watched something slightly trashy like Die Hard 4 whilst doing the ironing, where you didn't really need to pay attention, but you could just do the ironing at the same time. Helen, engagement score?
Yeah, I'm going to give it a solid 4, because I probably would have been looking at Wikipedia at some point, checking those facts.
I'm going to go for... Yeah, I was into it, really. I was maybe diminishing engagement as with each time because I know what's going to happen. But yeah, 4.3. And that gives an overall score of 4.34063.
That's pretty high.
Pretty high. Yeah. Alice, Kim, can you remind everyone where we can find you guys online and the name of your podcast? And we'll say goodbye to the listeners.
Sure, you can, if you want to email us to talk about period dramas or recommend a period drama that you think we should watch. We have fetchsmellingsalts@gmail.com. On all of our other social media, we're at fetchsmellingsalts. And the normal ones, Instagram, pretty much just that one.
Yeah.
All of them, Instagram, maybe just Instagram.
Yeah, just Instagram. I mean, we put fun stuff on Instagram. Alice has a lot of work on that.
I guess, but isn't that just Instagram words?
Yeah. It's an assessor now. We can just wherever you put on Instagram, go straight to threads.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
you don't even have to look at your threads.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there's a button you can press and it'll just send it out everywhere.
Yeah.
Guys, thanks for bringing Hidden Figures back to me, at least, and to the listeners.
Awesome. Thanks for having us.
Much.
Thanks so much for coming on.
Bye.
Bye.
Enjoyed this episode of Flixwatcher podcast? Why not leave us a 5-star review on iTunes? You can also follow us at FlixWatcherPod on Twitter, and we're at FlixWatcher on Instagram. Thanks as always to the mighty people for their mighty tunes and Rockwood Audio's editing skills. If you're looking to get your podcast edited as sweet as this, get in touch with Rockwood, ROKK Wood Audio. Tell them Flixwatcher sent you.
You just heard a Stripped Media production.